Miss Robinson. I'm here for your third grade math lesson this week. So the past couple weeks we've been going over data, right? Graphs. Data is just giving us information and displaying it in different ways. This week we're going to move on to one of my favorite things to teach third graders. I'm so excited. I hope you guys are excited too. We're going to be learning about something called multiplication. So let's read our objective. Let's read our objective today. I can solve and represent multiplication facts by using equal groups, repeated addition, arrays, area models, and number lines. That's a whole lot of information, but I promise you the tools I give you today, the things I give you are going to be strategies to help you solve any multiplication problem you could possibly have. So we're going to work with multiplication and we're going to use different strategies. We're going to use equal groups. We're going to use repeated addition is going to be in all of our strategies actually. We're going to use area and array models, which are very similar strategies, and we'll work with them together. And number lines. I mean, if you haven't figured it out by now, number lines are an awesome thing to use in math. We can use them for adding and subtracting. We can use them for estimation. We can use them for multiplication. We can use them for almost anything in math. So I'm just going to show you how they apply to what we learned today. So let's take a look. Right here, I don't know if you guys can see what these are, but they are Starbursts, right? We've all had these little packs of Starbursts before, right? Does anyone remember how many Starbursts are in each of these little packs? I'll open it in a minute, but there are 2. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 packs of Starbursts. I want you guys to think about if I have 5 packs of Starbursts and each Starburst package has 2 Starbursts in it each, what are some ways I could solve that problem? How could I figure out how many total Starburst pieces I have? I want you, if you have next to someone, why don't you discuss it with them? Or you could just say it out loud, or you could write it down, or you could just think about it. How could I solve this? There's many ways to solve it. Well, there are a couple of different things. What most of you said was probably, oh, we could open them out and count them. And absolutely, we can absolutely count them. And that is going to be something we do later. But we could also do something called multiplication, right? I can show you using these Starbursts how multiplication can work. But first, let's just kind of talk about what is multiplication. Multiplication, all multiplication is repeated addition using the same number over and over, right? I'm repeatedly adding the same number over and over. And I will show this to you during our strategy. All multiplication is repeated addition. That's super easy because we love addition, right? Addition is one of the easiest things to do in math. We can add real well. Well, we have one more word I want us to go over before we start looking at the strategies, and that word is product. Product. Sometimes we hear the word product in social studies at the store, like, oh, that's a product over there. That's something we can buy. But in math, product means it's just the answer to a multiplication equation or a multiplication problem. It's whatever the answer is. So it's just good for us to go over this. We won't talk a ton about product this week. We will later on when we get into like word problems in like a month or so. But right now, it's just good for us to have it here, and I'll just kind of leave it in the background. All right, so our first strategy we're going to do today is we're going to use what we have in front of us, right? We have our Starbursts already grouped together in 2s. So we're going to use our equal group strategy. We have equal groups. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open these Starbursts. So I can see each of them have 2. 2. keep them on. One. Here's one group of Starbursts, right? One package. Let's do another one. And it doesn't matter what colors because we're just counting Starbursts, not the colored ones. One, two. So we have 2 packages up there so far. Wow, it's crazy. All of our packages have the same color so far. Each of them have 2 of the same color. I wonder how that happens. Two. Our 4th package. Oh, this one has 2 different colors this time. And our last package. Okay, so I have them already grouped in. You know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a little rectangle around each of them so I know that they're separate. And that's kind of the shape of these things, right? The packaging is kind of like a rectangle. Let's draw a little rectangle around them. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just to show that I have 5 different packages of Starbursts. All right, so we see we have these different packages. So what we're going to do is we're going to represent this with an equation. The first number in our equation is how many groups do I have? And our groups for Starburst are the packages, right? How many packages of Starburst do I have? So I'll count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my first number is going to be 5. The 5 represents the number of groups. Then we're going to do a multiplication sign. Now, you might remember this from when we did place value and we did expanded notation. Remember, we said like 5 groups of 10,000 or something like that. So this is 5 groups of, and now let's see how many are in each group. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I have 5 groups of, remember that's a multiplication sign, 2. I have 5 groups of 2. And the 2 represents how much are in each group. Number in each group. So the first number, when we're doing the group strategy, is always the number of groups I have. The second number is how many are in each group. Well, now I have my multiplication equation. Now there's a couple ways I could solve this. I could add 2 5 times, right? We have 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, one more, plus 2 equals, or we could count them, or we could skip count. But we'll save skip counting for later. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have a total of 10. And 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. I have 10 starbursts. We just did our first strategy. Let's try it once more. Let's do one more practice of this. Let's make 3 groups. 1, 2, 3. And this time we're going to draw. So a lot of times with groups you can draw however many there are in it. You can draw, I like tally marks, some people like dots, some people like different things. We'll do dots for today. So I have 3 groups, and I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, I'm going to pause for just a second. I want you to notice it says equal groups. In each of these groups of starbursts, they all had 2. There wasn't a crazy one that had 3. All had the same number. I'm repeatedly adding. I added 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. I didn't add 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4, right? I added them. They have to be the same size for it to be multiplication instead of addition. Down here, each of these groups has 5, 5, 5, 5. They are equal groups, so I can multiply. So I have 1, 2, 3 groups. So I'll write 3 for our 3 groups times, let's see how many groups, we have 3 groups of what? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 3 groups with 5 in each of them. 3 groups of 5. That equals, let's find out. I can add 5 plus 5 plus 5, or I could just count each dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it looks like I have 15. 3 times 5 is 15. This is super important, guys, because something with making dots instead of tally marks or instead of squares or whatever it may be is that if we draw our dots too fast, just like when we're drawing a picture of the ones place, we can sometimes draw too many, we can sometimes draw too light to see them, so we need to be very careful with that. All right, so this is our strategy with equal groups. This is a pretty popular one for a lot of people. I love equal groups because for me, I can do tally marks so fast. Like if there's groups of 7, I could skip count by 5. So do something like that, which I'll show you at a later video. All right, I'm going to move this so we can move on to our next strategy. And our next strategy we're going to go over is array or area model. They're 2 strategies, but they're very connected to each other. All right, so basically what array is if you were to look on top of it, you would see a model that represents something easy for us to calculate or solve. With an array, I'm going to draw the equation for the same one we started with here, and I'll use Starburst to represent it. So let's say we had 5. So we'll say 5 times 2. There's 2 in each group, right? And we know what this equals, but I'm showing you using a different strategy. So now with an array, the first number is how many dots or X's or spaces you go down. These are the rows. The rows. I'm sorry, how many you go across? Rows go this way. And I'll just write across. So we know we're going across. And the second number that we're multiplying is the columns or the number in the rows. So the number in each row is also called a column. That's something they really emphasize a little bit more in 4th grade, but we still like to touch base with it. So I have 10 more, because we know that's the total we have. I opened them up already, so I just have to take them on. So I need to make 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I dropped them. 5. So I have 5 going down. Let me try and straighten this out a little bit. Okay. Because we want to try and kind of be a straight line. It's hard to do. And now I'm going to have 2. So this first one counts as 1. And now I'm going to put a second one in each one of these rows. All right, it was taking a while, so I just paused it so that I could finish this. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. 5 rows times, I like to do a little X at this corner. How much is in each row? 1, 2. And look, they all have 2 and 5. And now I can do what I did is count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And a lot of times we do dots or X's for this part. And now an area is doing the same thing, but making it connected into one shape. So using a rectangle. So that would look like something like this. And I know there's going to be 2 in each row, so I'm going to draw a line so there's 2 spaces. We use graph paper a lot for this. And now I need to make sure I have 5 rows. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not perfectly even, but you can tell that I have 5 rows times 2 in each row to equal 10. And you can just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now let's try another problem so that we can see what this would be represented as. Let's try one different than what we did earlier so we can let's do 3 times 7. And we'll say equals length. And I'm going to solve it over here. So with an array, I could draw x's or dots. I'll draw x's so you can see them a little better. So I have 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. See those 3 dots or 3 x's, I'm sorry? And in each of these rows, I need 7. I have got to include the first one I drew. That is each one. If I accidentally don't count that, then I have too many. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now I could count, but I know I have 3 going down times, that X is going to be confusing. I'm going to circle it so I know it's the multiplication sign. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 across. And I could count these X's, but you know what? I'm going to do the area for this one, and it'll be a little bit easier to count. So I'm going to go make a rectangle. And see, if I had graph paper, I could count across 7 and count down 3. Like, area is something we'll get into a lot more detail when we get to geometry later in the year. So I know I have 3 rows. So 1, 2, 3. And remember, rows doesn't mean lines. Rows. And now I need to have 7. And so 7 is going to be kind of a hard number to gauge. Just do your best. And you can cross any extra out or add anything. So I'll say I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need one more column. Connect my lines. So I should have 1, 2, 3 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to count these. What a lot of people do for area is they write the number in here, which you can do when you're first learning, right? Let me find another color to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So our answer is 3 times 7 is 21. Just look at this for a second before I move it, and we do our last strategy. All right. So our last strategy is going to be using number lines. We don't have this visual of like with this one we can see them in groups. With this one we can see them in the array model or the area model. But number line is a little bit different. So I need you guys to really focus. I know I've given you a lot of different strategies so far. This is going to be the last one, and this one will help more with easy numbers to skip count by, or once you start getting your numbers better. We're going to start with the same one we've started with, the 5 times 2. Let's use a different. We have 5 times 2 equals blank. And the 5 stands for how many jumps on the number line I'm going to make. The number of jumps. The 2 stands for what I'm skip counting by on the number line. What to skip count by. So just like everything else, everything has to be equal sections when I'm multiplying, right? It wouldn't be multiplication if they weren't equal sections. So the same works with number lines. I'm going to make a little number line. And we know all a number line is a little chunk out of something that can go on forever, right? If I was adding and subtracting, I could take a chunk out of any part to help me with that problem. The thing with multiplication is my number line has to start at 0 for it to be accurate, all right? For it to be the right multiplication fact, it has to start at 0. So let's start. I've made a little line right here. I need to make 5 jumps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to double check by just counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice I'm counting the jump, not the lines. I'm counting the jump. Now I'm going to make little tick marks. That's what we call them on number lines for each of these. Now, if you remember, I said we always start on 0. So this is 0. And then I need to skip count by 2s. And I know everyone in 3rd grade can skip count by 2s, right? If not, we can always use our fingers to help us. So I have 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So the number I end on is the answer. And we know that this is the answer because we've solved this problem a bunch already, right? A bunch of times already. Now, let's try and do a problem with a number line going, that we haven't done yet. Let's try a new thing. Let's do four times 7. 4 times 7 equals blank. Now I'm going to make my number line. I'm going to make, I want you to tell me, how many jumps do I need to make for this? Correct. I'm going to make 4 jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you recall, we start on 0. And then I'm going to skip count by the second number. Skip counting by 7s can be a little tricky, but if you do it correctly, you will get this right. So I know my first one is 7. 7 plus 7, that's what you're doing, is adding 7 to skip count, right? Is 14. Plus 7 is 21. Plus 7 is 28. And since that's the number we ended on, that is the answer. 4 times 7 is 28. All right, we only have a very, very little bit of time left. And so we've gone over a lot of strategies. What I would do if I was you, I would pause and try these strategies on my own to see what works best for me. Because guess what? For Miss Robinson, what works best for her may not be what works best for you, right? What works best for you may not work very well for me. And this is a great way to practice our multiplication. I want you guys to practice, 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 because eventually you're going to be able to do this without all these strategies, and you'll just need them every once in a while to help you out. I'm going to, I know it's a little bit over time, but I'm going to show you one more thing. I want to give you guys the opportunity to try it on your own. So I have 4 times 6. I have groups, array or area, number line, and repeated addition. I am not going to go over it today. I'll go over another time. But I want you to pick 2 or 3 strategies and see which ones you like the best. I want you to try and solve it and see if you get at least 2. If you get the same answer, that means you did it correctly. That's my rule. If you do 2 and get the same answer, then you can move on, unless I ask you to do 1%. So that's what I'm leaving you guys with. I hope that you guys have a great week. I'm really excited to work with you. Next week, we're going to move on and we're going to use these same strategies and see how they apply to division, which is going to be brand new to us, and it's going to be so much fun. Have a great week, guys. Bye.